Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my May ranking video, and everybody just say a small prayer for me because it's 12 palettes and it's just hold on to your horses, guys. So without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay guys, so for number 12, I am going to be ranking the Smitten in Switzerland by BH Cosmetics. Now, I've only used this palette one time, so take everything with a grain of salt. I will try and tell you guys if I've used something multiple times or less than in this video, just to kind of give you guys some context as well. So I really think this has a nice formula. The only thing that really threw me off about this palette is that it doesn't have a lot of colorful matte options. So I wore the shade Brisk, which is a beautiful blue foiled shade. There weren't any matte shadows that I could pair with this beautiful color. Now, some of the other shimmer shades do have corresponding mattes, but I'm not personally a fan of palettes where I don't have a lot of colorful matte options to go with the colorful shimmer shades in the palette. So for that reason, this is getting ranked at number 12. Now, if you are on a budget and you want to find a nice grungy, colorful palette, this might be something worth looking at because the quality is actually pretty decent. I'm very impressed with BH Cosmetics, and I know they came out with some new palettes like last week or so where it was the same format but a different theme, and I'm sure those ones are just as good as these ones. So if you're contemplating any of those, I do think it's good quality. I just don't think it is the best color scheme of the palettes I tried this past month. So the next one, I don't know, I feel like kind of a hypocrite because this one definitely has a worse formula than the BH palette, but again, I do like this color story. This is the Melt Cosmetics 420 palette, and honestly, I feel like I had one of the first-ish videos of this palette, and you know how they say misery loves company? Well, in my case, I was very happy to know that both Angie and Teresa, two women I very much admire on YouTube, didn't think this palette was that great either. I think even Mel Thompson, was it her? There were quite a few creators that ended up not liking this palette. So sometimes when a majority of people agree with you about you not liking a palette, it makes you feel a little less crazy, because sometimes I do like reviews and I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody else loves this palette. Like, what am I doing wrong? So it's kind of nice when I do a review and then I see some other reviews and majority doesn't seem to like this palette. So call me selfish, but I don't know. I was just like, okay, good. I'm not the only one that doesn't like this palette. So that is the reason why I'm ranking that one at number 11. So guys, for number 10, I am going to be ranking the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette at number 10. Might not have even known that I had this palette, but I kind of snuck this in. My husband bought me this a few months ago, and I finally decided to try it out a few times. Again, I've only used this maybe like thrice or twice, so it's not that deep, but I don't really love Urban Decay's formula. I think it's like one of those where it's time for me to just like see it for what it is, and I feel like I've definitely outgrown Urban Decay as a brand. I used to be such a big fan of their stuff, and now I'm always like really praying that they'll come out of the gate strong, but it always ends up being one of those things where I'm kind of like, oh, that's such a bummer, like what a missed opportunity. I know they just sneak peeked the Ultraviolet palette by Urban Decay, and I even got a little bit excited because I was like, what the heck, like that totally came out of nowhere in my opinion. But I have a feeling that it's gonna be very much to the same quality of the Honey palette. And I know there's some people out there that love the Honey palette, but to me it's just okay. It's not anything to like go crazy about. So that's why I'm ranking that one at number 10. Okay guys, so number 9 is gonna be the Flower Bomb palette by Midas Cosmetics. Now, I am a Midas Cosmetics affiliate. I have to say things how it is, and I really like the color story of this palette, but I don't love that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pressed glitters in here. And the thing about Midas's formula is it's not really my favorite formula. I can make it work, but I definitely prefer creamier mattes, and their mattes are a little bit more gently pigmented, so they build really well, but I like my mattes to be really creamy and like to have a lot of punch in them at one time, so I can kind of blend them out, whereas Midas, you kind of build up the pigmentation. So it's just a difference in my preferences and also the glitters, but other than that, I love the color story, I love the packaging, I love the brand, I love the lady behind the brand, so that is why I'm ranking that at number 9. Okay guys, so 8th place goes to Scott Barnes, and this is the Snatural eyeshadow palette. Now, I really like the eye look I ended up getting in this palette, but the thing that kind of had me ranking this palette a little bit lower is the price point. I believe that eyeshadow palette is around $80 at full price, and I think that is a little bit steep for my price range. So I know that it's a beautiful palette, the eyeshadows work really well, but do you need to buy an $80 eyeshadow palette to get the eyeshadow look that I got with that palette? Most likely no, but I was just very curious about the brand, so that's why I ended up trying the eyeshadow palette as well as the blush palette out, and that's why I'm ranking it where I am ranking it. I didn't have any trouble with anything. I just feel like for the price point, I couldn't really recommend to all of you like, oh my god, you must have it, whereas like some Pat McGrath palettes, I feel like I can justify, you know, telling you guys, hey, you absolutely need this or you don't need this. But in Scott Barnes' case, I feel like if you have other neutral palettes, you're going to be okay without it. I believe this is palette number 7 of my ranking list. This is a Juvia's Place Walhalla palette. And again, this one has 3 pressed glitters, not really my favorite. I do like some of the eyeshadows. I think some of the eyeshadows are really pigmented. Some of the eyeshadows I kind of struggle to get color to show up on my skin tone. So I was a little bit annoyed about that. Overall, it's a nice palette. Is this my favorite Juvia's Place palette? No. Is it something I'm excited about? Because I feel like Juvia's Place hasn't done a colorful palette in some time. Yes, but is it my favorite palette that I picked up in May? Absolutely no. So that is why I am ranking it at number 7. Okay, so in the number 6 spot are my Terra Moon Chameleons. These are the Vivid Chameleons, I believe. It's these 6 shades in the first row and then the first 2 here. I really like these shadows. I really like Terra Moon's formula. I love how bright and pigmented these shadows are. I did think that because they were called the Chameleons, I was expecting to see more of a multi-chrome, and these are at most like a duochrome or just like a very shimmery eyeshadow. So for that reason, I'm ranking them at 6. And I definitely am a Terra Moon fan, so I definitely see myself purchasing from them in the future. It's just not something I was like 100% blown away by. So that is why I'm ranking them where I am ranking them. But the quality is the same, and it's what I love from Terra Moon. Very pigmented and easy to use. Okay, so in 5th place, I'm ranking my VR Neon. I used this in a collaboration video that I filmed, and I really enjoyed whipping this palette out and using this. I used this in my video with Morgan Turner where we did the first letter challenge. Gosh, that feels so long ago. But I had a lot of fun playing with my little Kaleidos palette. This is such a fun palette. I love the formats they chose, and I love the fun shimmery shades as well. All of these shadows play really well together, and I'm so excited for this new release that they have coming up as well. So you guys know I have mad love for these palettes, and that's why I ranked it where I ranked it. Number 4 is going to be the Melt Gemini palette. This was a gift. It was sent to me by a subscriber, and I'm so jazzed. And honestly, I wanted to buy this palette, but I'm trying to be more conscious of what I'm buying and not buy older palettes, because I feel like it's harder when you're trying to grow on YouTube to feature older palettes and still get a lot of views. So even though I really wanted this, I decided to skip on it, but my kind friend sent it to me, and I'm so glad she did, because this palette is awesome. It's delicious. And if you guys aren't trying to start YouTube channels and you just want a good palette recommendation from Melt Cosmetics, I would recommend the Gemini palette. In 3rd place is this guy. This is my Carnival palette from Be Perfect. This is a little bit of an older palette, and I definitely wanted to film a full review with this palette, and I started testing it out in the start of May, and then all these other eyeshadow palettes ended up being delivered to me, so I didn't end up using this as much as I wanted to. But the few shades I did use, I really did end up enjoying them. I did a blue look, I did a green look, I believe I did like a pinky purple look. So I have tested this out quite a bit, but I definitely want to do more testing with it. And it's honestly one of the better rainbow palettes in my opinion. So if you are on the hunt for a good rainbow palette, especially if you're in Europe, you might want to check that brand out, because I believe Be Perfect is a UK-based indie brand. So in the number 2 spot is the Kaleidos The Escape Pod palette. This is their new release. It's not even out yet. I was so excited because I was sent this in PR and I really like this palette. The shimmer shades are so good. I really love the shimmers actually. The matte, it's whatever almost for me, but the shimmer shades really kill it in this palette. I would have been really excited if they maybe did a little bit of a smaller profile packaging, but you know what? Sometimes packaging helps things stand out. And yes, it is a little bulky, but it's definitely not the end of the world. It's kind of like the size of a paperback novel, if you wanted me to compare it to something, and it's really not that fat. So if you wanted to pick this up, I would definitely recommend. It's super duper beautiful. I have a 3 looks, 1 palette, and full review of the Kaleidos collection that I'm in the midst of filming. I'm not done with that video yet, so if you see this video before that video, know that that is in the works. For my number 1 palette, I'm ranking the Build Your Own palette I built for me and 4 of my YouTube besties on a collab. And I'm going to put a picture of it because I've already dismantled the palette to put it away because I made like such a mess with my single shadows trying to put that palette together. So it's already been put away. But if you haven't seen that video, I'll definitely remember to link it down in the description box for you guys to check out. But basically, our friend Amanda, Makeup Just for Fun, asked us to do a collab and design a palette based on 5 other ladies I knew here on YouTube. So it was Amanda, Sam, Jen, Angie, and Amy that's in the picture. And I included myself. So I made a 24 pan eyeshadow palette inspired by all of them and their different makeup styles. And I really like that palette. I think you guys really liked it too. I got a lot of really good feedback on that palette. And so I did end up filming an eyeshadow look with it as well. So if you guys want to see those videos, you can, and I will post a picture of the palette I created. I told you guys I was a little biased, so that's the one I'm going to give my number 1 spot to, and that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this ranking video, and if you have any questions, let me know down in the description box. I will also go ahead and link my rankings playlist so you guys can check out my previous videos from previous months in this style if you like a good ranking video. I will see you guys in my next one soon. Bye!